Kuchlbauer Gillamoos Bier.
And remember, life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. This is another one from the Lidl Oktoberfest pack, and it's from the Kuchlbauer Brewery. Now, they're quite an interesting brewery. They've been going since 1300, but they have got quite an interesting building. Now, they do have an old brewery building, but they've built a beer garden which contains something called the Kuchlbauer Tower, which is a really off-the-wall type of building. It's like an observation tower. It's got a huge gold-plated dome at the top of it, and it was designed by an old Austrian designer or architect, I should say, Friedrich Reich Hundertwasser, I think his name is, and I think he was Austrian. He was an Austrian Jew, and I think he had to really lay low during World War II, and he pretended to be a Christian to the point of even joining the Hitler Youth to try and avoid persecution by the Nazis. But he designed that building, but sadly died before it was even built, and the design was sort of taken over, and it was finally built in 2010, and it's quite an interesting building, and it contains 4,200 Weissbier glasses, all different, which is pretty amazing. I thought I had quite a lot of glasses here, but yeah, it doesn't compare to that. But they are renowned for brewing Weissbier, would you believe? Which is really strange, because they come from a place called Albensberg, which is in the district of Kelmheim. Now, if Kelmheim sounds familiar, that's where Schneider Weiss are based, who in my opinion are the best Weissbier brewers, not just in Bavaria, not just in Germany, but in the world. Now, there are some worthy contenders, believe me, but for me, Schneider Weiss are the best. They only specialise in Weissbier, as does this brewery, which is quite, I don't know, it's a little bit puzzling for me. I thought, you know, if you're just going to specialise in Weissbier in that region, surely Schneider Weiss have got that market sewn up. Unless, of course, they're just relying on the local trade. I've never seen this over in the UK before. And I do have to say that the Lidl Oktoberfest beer pack, if you haven't seen it, where have you been on the last videos? But that's what it looks like. That's £25. And the company that done it is a company called Kaylee. I think that's how it's pronounced. They brought all these beers, and these beers are quite hard to get a hold of. Now, the Hofbrau Oktoberfest beer and the Schneider Weiss, relatively easy to get hold of. All the others, you're going to struggle to get them, and I certainly would struggle to get that over here. One thing I did notice that the price of it was €1.79. So if you're ever in Germany and you see it, that's how much you're going to pay for it. I mean, this is obviously pre-inflation at this time. I mean, what's the old saying? Prices are correct at the time of printing. Well, prices are correct at the time of broadcasting. It could be more by the time you see this. Funny thing was, I went to Aldi today because a kind subscriber said to me they've got a load of Spartan in there, and I went in there and I bought some Spartan, £1.99 a bottle. Yeah, not too bad, still under £2, so I can't really complain about that. But I did see the Brewdog Oktoberfest beer. Fucking hell. Talk about just getting it wrong. Now, they call it an Oktoberfest lager, which traditionally Oktoberfest lager isn't the traditional drink. It's always Märzen, or if you have a brewery like this, Schneider Weiss do it as well, they have a Festbier, which is a Festweiss, or sometimes it's called, or Festweisser. But it fucking baffles me with these fucking clowns, Brewdog. They've come up with this Oktoberfest lager, and when in the description on their website it says brewed in the style of a Pilsner. Pilsner has got no fucking connection with Oktoberfest whatsoever. But that just sums them fucking dickheads up. They'll just brew any old shit. I really do wonder about them, and I wonder about, well, I know they don't give a shit. They're just into making money. So there's my answer. I've just answered my own question. But seriously, I mean, if you buy it and you like it, then fair enough. But I will not be going anywhere near it. I think it was £13 for X amount of cans. These are 330ml cans as well, which on the same, not even on the, this is how bad it was. The Spartan was at the bottom and it had cans of this Brewdog shit on top of it, and I had to move it to get to the Spartan. The Brewdog was more expensive, and I know, I mean, some people don't rate Spartan Helles. I think it's quite nice. That's because that's what it is. It's a Helles. It's not the Oktoberfest beer, not the Spartan Oktoberfest beer, so I won't be reviewing that. That's not in Aldi's. It's the Spartan Helles, which is, in my opinion, it's quite a nice Helles. But I had to move that, and the Brewdog shit. And I know it's shit. I know it's going to be shit because I've tried Brewdog lagers before and they've been fucking rubbish. And everybody can fucking shout and scream at me and say, oh, well, you know, the Lost Lager was nice and all that. In my opinion, it wasn't. It was very, very, very fucking average. And for the price of it, definitely not worth the money. And I will bet you £1 to a bucket of shit that will not be worth the money. So there's my rant over. Let's get back to this beer. Yeah, this is a Weiss beer which is specifically brewed for the festival season. If you look on the top here, it says Summer Wieder Gold, or good, I think it is, and it basically goes back to this would have been I wouldn't say the Dark Ages, but the 600s. There was a king called King Vamba, and he was king of the Visigoths, and he accidentally shot Saint Gilga, I think his name was, and with an arrow. And his reply was, "This is in the Bavarian dialect, Summer Wieder Gold," which basically means summer is good, and or good again, I should say. So that's where that comes from. So this is they say this beer is in the spirit of forgiveness and all that. You know, fucking what a load of old shit. But that's about it really. Can't really tell you much more about it, but yeah, it's a Weizen and I'm looking forward to it. So let's stop guessing, let's stop gassing, let's get this open. Right, this is a 500ml bottle. It is 5.6%, so not too bad on the old ABV stakes. No brew sheet, but they do make a point about using local Hallertau hops in this beer. The brewery is located near what they call the hop mile or something like that. It's basically a German road which runs right through Hallertau, and all the lorries that are carrying the hops, they go down that road. So I think it's called the Hop Road or something like that, or the Hop Highway or something like that. Anyway, and so it's got Hallertau hops in it, but that's all I know about it really. There's not much on the website in the way of flavour, but they do a lot of Weizens, various styles of Weizens, and they do some quite nice glassware as well. So if ever you're in the Kelmheim region, obviously check out Schneider Weiss, but check this Kuchlbauer Brewery as well. They look really interesting, and that tower, this is what it looks like. Inside, it looks quite interesting. It looks very old and very rustic, but it's only been going since 2010. That's when it was finished. Anyway, let's stop gassing and let's get this beer into a glass. Right, I've got some new glasses today, and fuck me, I look like Austin Powers in them. And before you ask, can you see them? No, you fucking can't. I think I'll use them for driving. Oh, come on, autofocus. Can you just, for once, do what I fucking bought you for? Can you see that? I'm trying to, yeah, there you go. I've had to cover up a light. There's a light there, and it's blurring that. So I've got to get everything in here. I can't just pour a little bit in because, as you know, with Weizens, you need to get everything in there. Well, I'm saying it's a Weizen. It's not a fucking Weizen. So I do apologise. I'm pouring a Helles in, well, what looks like a Helles. It's a Festbier, unless it's a crystal Weiss. But they said they specialise in Weizen, and that's not a Weizen. I do apologise. But if you look on the website, it does say a lot about the Weiss beer. Anyway, fuck up number 1 on this video. I do apologise for that. Ooh, that doesn't smell nice. Oh, that smells not good at all. It smells very sulphurous and almost like rotten cabbage. This isn't good at all. Christ almighty. Oh, I'm not sure about this. It does look nice, I will say that. But Jesus Christ, that doesn't smell good at all. Okay, well, wish me luck. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Oh, what is that? This is a little bit weird. I have to say the head is absolutely amazing on that. I mean, if I looked at that, I would say whether you got the uniform bubbles, nice moving, slow moving carbonation. Well, not slow moving, quite fast moving carbonation, and very tightly packed bubbles. I would say that this looks like a really good pint, but the aroma is weird. It's got like a sulphurous aroma, and that's it. On the palate, this is what you're getting. Quite a lot of lemon citrus, some honey, but there's a funny flavour to it. Slightly vegetable-y flavour, if you can imagine that. It's cabbage leaves. That's what I'm getting. Not sure about this. I will say the body on it isn't as big as some of the others that I've tried. The Falter Pickelsteiner for me was fantastic. That's probably one of the best. The Erlbacher that I tried, the Erlbräu that I tried was really good. And this doesn't measure up at all, and it's I'm assuming that's a Märzen, some kind of Märzen, but they say they specialise in Weiss beer, and I just assumed that this was some kind of Fest Weiss. Never fucking assume, and there's the reason why. I have to say this is just okay. Is there nasties in it? Well, yes and no. I can detect some kind of odd, slightly, I wouldn't say off flavour, but out of place flavour. There's quite a lot of honey on that coming from the yeast, and there's quite a lot of the malt on the finish, almost like a Helles. Not much spice, not much hop spice. Maybe that's why I'm getting the strange. I don't know what it is. It seems to have died down now. I'm wondering whether that was like a build up of sulphur, because sulphur does build up in the bottle, and especially in some of these Bavarian beers, you open them and you do get quite a lot of sulphur build up, and it takes time to evaporate. Now it shouldn't really affect the flavour, but maybe my palate's just adjusting to it, but it didn't taste that great, I have to say. But now everything's settled down, it's not too bad, I have to say. The body isn't as strong as or full as the other ones I've tried, but it isn't bad. 5.6%. You could session this if you're going for a laugh. I would probably not session it. I have to say, this is probably one of the weaker beers that I've tried so far. They've all been reasonably good. The Wildbrau Kurte beer wasn't bad. As I say, for me, the Pickelsteiner, the Falter Pickelsteiner, was the best of the new ones. The Hofbrau Oktoberfest beer, that was quite nice. The Schneiderweist Festbier, yeah, really good. I did like that. That was really complex flavoured, lots of spice and different types of flavour in there as well, and it's what you'd expect from Schneiderweist. As I say, in my opinion, the best Weiss beer brewer in the world. Now, as I say, there's a couple. Weihenstephan come quite close. Hacker-Shaw do a lovely Weiss beer. There's a really nice one as well. Paulaner's Weiss beer is pretty good too, but for me, Hacker-Shaw and Schneiderweist, they're the two top ones, I think, for me. Really good. But let's dive in again. It's not bad. I will give it, all things considered. There was a bit of a nasty niff on opening. That's gone now. The flavour, there was a couple of strange flavours on the first few mouthfuls, but I think that's probably, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, that's probably my palate just adjusting. This is my first beer of the day. It is, and this is a Saturday, West Ham lost 3-1 to Man City, if you want a reference point. It is now 9 o'clock. This is first beer of the evening. Quite late. I had to give my daughter a lift to, she was going out somewhere with her mates, so I give her a lift. And this is my first one. And I have to say, in the grand scheme of things, it ain't bad, I have to say. But compared to the others, I think this is lacking slightly. Not bad. Quite a lot of honey on that from the yeast. It's quite sweet. There's a fair amount of bready, almost biscuity type malt finish on the end. Not much spice on there from the hops. This is quite a sweet beer, but very drinkable, I have to say. I mean, it's going down quite smoothly for all its faults. Head retention is good. It's only 5.6%, so you know, higher ABVs, you're going to lose the head on a beer, but 5.6 is quite nice, I have to say. Yeah, all in all, not bad. So, what is the verdict on Kuchlbauer's Gillamoos Bier? Well, it started off and I had real reservations about that one because there was some nasty aromas on opening. There was some strange flavours on the first couple of mouthfuls. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that was my palate adjusting. It's kind of okay now. Palate's got used to it. It does strike me as being a little bit sweet. There's quite a lot of honey on that. No real hop character. This is all about the malt and the yeasty, sweet esters that you get, honey esters on that. Not bad, 5.6, reasonably sessionable, depending on your constitution. Personally, I would probably, if this was the only one, I would probably drink a few and remind myself it was 5.6% and probably lay off it. But I have to say, not the worst beer in the world. Not the best out of that pack though. And €1.79 that is. And I'm sure, I mean, if you're in that region, there's two breweries in that region. You've got the Schneiderweist Brewery in Kelmheim, and you've also got the Kloster who, in my opinion, I mean, I did mention some great brewers, but for me, the Kloster dark beers, the Doppelbock and the Dunkel, are absolutely amazing. So if I was in that region, I would be hunting down them over this slot. I tell you what, I wouldn't mind trying their Weiss beer and comparing it to Schneiderweist, because I imagine the two breweries source their ingredients from more or less the same place. So it'd be interesting to compare the two. And Schneider Weiss are, compared to this lot been going since 1300. Schneider Weiss are the young upstarts, so that would be quite interesting to do that. But availability in the UK, I have no idea. But as I always say, as I always say in these little Oktoberfest ones, I do think that is value for money. And I did mention the other beer review channel. Is it the Crummy Beard? He actually done some research, which I should have done, and thankfully he's done it. But he actually worked out how much all these would cost singly. That's the type of research I like to see in beer reviewer channels. A lot of the beer reviewers, they don't really go. That little Welsh fella, he doesn't even go into the history of it. He just takes the beer, and fair fucks to him. Do you know what I mean? If he's been doing it for donkey's years. I remember him in 2014. I always watched beer review channels, and I used to watch. Remember the fella Terry Kay? I used to watch him. I really used to like him. He had a good personality. He's quite funny, nice kid. He's sadly no longer with us now, which is a real shame. I think the world is the beer world is a slightly poorer place without him. But I think he was one of the pioneers of the beer review channels, along with the little Welsh fella. You have to give him credit for that. You know, he was one of the originals, and you thought I would have thought he would have sort of done a little bit more research about the beers. I watched some of the reviews that he does, and he's way off the mark with his assumptions. But I don't want to get into a slagging match with beer reviewers and saying they're crap and all that. They're not. Everyone has their place. Everyone has an opinion on beer. So even that twat, the beer hooligan, and he was a fucking twat. I know he reads everything off a script. He's reading the. I didn't see the point of that. Why he was reading off the description of the beer from. It was obviously from the website, and he was. Oh, look at this. After what he's just read is a description of the flavours he's getting. Fuck off. You trying to kid. But, yeah, apart from him, everyone's got a valid opinion on beer. If you're a punter and you've paid money, you've got a valid opinion on beer. And as I always say, there's people that have... I welcome these comments, I really do. There's people that say, I disagree with your review 100%. And I do take their comments on board, because everybody's taste is different. Not everybody likes the same beer that I do. Not everybody gets the same flavours. Everyone's palate's different. I always liken it to music. People ain't going to like the music that I listen to, and I fucking know that for a fact, and I've had that all my life. But it doesn't mean their opinion isn't valid. And I shouldn't really sort of make a judgment on any of that. But I just, as I always say, these beer reviews that I do are just my opinion on what I think of the beer. It's not set in stone. It's not the de facto flavour profiles and opinions that you should have about this beer. If I don't like a beer, even the Carling stuff, some people say they like it, it's their go-to beer. Fine, fill your fucking boots. I have no problem with you drinking Carling. I'd rather you didn't, but if you do, that's fine. I have no issue with that. I'm not here to convert people. But speaking of converting, give me 1 second. I was mooching about Aldi today, and it's because obviously I live in Kent and Shepherd Neame are the local brewery to me. I picked this up, and guess what this is? This is Bishop's Finger in a brown bottle. They've stopped doing it in the clear bottles. And I'd like to think, it probably wasn't, but I'd like to think it was hopefully something that I said on these videos that have got out. Maybe they watched it, maybe they didn't. I'm not going to take credit for it. I have no evidence to suggest that it was me that did it, but a little bit inside me thinks hopefully it was me. But they started doing it in brown bottles now, and I believe that's a fucking win for me and my crusade against clear and green bottles. Maybe Budvar will be next. Budvar, if you're watching, stop putting your fucking beer in green fucking bottles. It tastes like shit, and it doesn't need to be tasting like shit because it's a good beer. I wouldn't give a fuck if Carlin and Carlsberg, fuck them. They're a lost cause. Fuck them. I hope they fucking die 1,000 deaths, all screaming for their mothers. No, that's horrible. I don't really mean that. But the beer's a lost cause. But good brewers, it annoys me when good brewers put good beer into clear and green bottles. And thankfully, Shep and Lean have stopped doing it with Bishop's Finger. If you've not had Bishop's Finger before, I don't mean literally, but this is a lovely beer. It really is, and it doesn't deserve to be spoiled in a clear glass. And that's my final say. So we're not talking about Bishop's Finger now. We are talking about the Kuchlbauer Gillamoos Bier. What would I give that? Well, it had some strange notes. It had some odd flavours at the start. It's turned into a reasonably good beer. Maybe not as full-bodied as it should be, but all things considered, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think that's a fair mark. It's sort of redeemed itself towards the end. Well, I say it's redeemed itself. My palate has adjusted to its slightly different flavours. I honestly thought this was going to be a wheat beer, hence the reason it's in a wheat beer glass. I really didn't. I mean, they say they're a wheat beer specialty brewer. You know, me being an unassuming fella, assumed it was going to be a fucking wheat beer, but it ain't. There you go. Anyway, that's a 6.5 out of 10. Probably not the best at the Lidl Oktoberfest beers, but not bad. Still drinkable. Drink one. I'll probably never drink it again. Maybe you're the same. I don't know. And remember, beer is working class champagne.